Hello and welcome back to the Haunted Narrative. In this video we will be delving into 5 supposedly true hauntings. So sit back, relax and enjoy while I take you on a spooky journey. As the narrator of this unsettling tale, my job at the daycare was both rewarding and, at times, deeply unnerving. My primary responsibilities included ensuring the safety and well-being of the children, maintaining a clean and organized environment, and overseeing daily activities that fostered the growth and development. Each day began with a routine check of the facilities, ensuring that all toys were sanitized, play areas were safe, and that the children were engaged in activities that stimulated their creativity and learning. However, there was one area of the daycare that always sent a shiver down my spine: the basement. The basement was a dimly lit space, often used for storage, filled with old furniture, boxes of forgotten toys, and supplies that had long since been deemed unnecessary. The flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, creating an unsettling atmosphere that felt almost alive. Despite my best efforts to keep the basement organized, it always seemed to have an air of neglect, as if it were a forgotten part of the daycare that held on to secrets of its own. The children were never allowed down there, and I often found myself hesitating before descending the creaky stairs, the wooden steps groaning underfoot as if warning me to turn back. It was during one of my routine checks that I first heard the strange noises emanating from the basement. At first, it was just a faint rustling sound, like something shifting in the darkness. I brushed it off as the wind or perhaps a loose box, but as the days went by, the noises grew more pronounced. I began to hear soft thuds, almost like footsteps, echoing through the empty space. Each time I ventured down to investigate, I found nothing amiss, yet the unsettling feeling lingered, gnawing at the edges of my mind. The atmosphere in the basement became increasingly oppressive, and I often felt as though I were being watched, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. One particularly chilling afternoon, as I was organizing supplies in the basement, I heard a distinct sound that made my heart race: a child's giggle. It was a sound I knew all too well, one that should not have been present in that dark, isolated space. My stomach dropped as I froze, the realization hitting me that I was alone in the basement. The giggle echoed again, followed by the unmistakable sound of small footsteps padding across the floor. Panic surged through me as I called out, "Is anyone there?" My voice trembled, swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. I felt a wave of dread wash over me, and for a moment, I was paralyzed by fear. The thought of a child being down there, hidden in the shadows, sent chills down my spine. I quickly made my way to the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest, and as I reached the top, I glanced back one last time. The basement door loomed ominously behind me, and I could have sworn I saw a fleeting shadow dart across the wall. I slammed the door shut, locking it tight, and vowed never to return without someone else by my side. The unsettling events in that basement haunted me long after I left for the day. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, that the daycare held secrets that were better left undiscovered. Each time I heard a child's laughter echoing in my mind, I was reminded of that eerie moment, a chilling reminder of the unknown lurking just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. After a long, grueling day at the daycare, I finally returned to the sanctuary of my apartment, yearning for the comfort and familiarity that awaited me. The exhaustion weighed heavily on my shoulders, a mix of physical fatigue from chasing after energetic children and emotional fatigue from the unsettling events of the day. As I stepped through the door, I was greeted by the soft glow of my living room lamp, casting a warm light that felt like a gentle embrace. I kicked off my shoes, relishing the sensation of the cool floor beneath my feet, and made my way to the kitchen to prepare a simple dinner. The aroma of simmering pasta filled the air, and for a moment, I allowed myself to forget the eerie atmosphere of the daycare and the strange occurrences that had plagued my thoughts. However, as I settled down on the couch with my plate, a sense of unease began to creep back in. The shadows in my apartment seemed to stretch and shift, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I tried to dismiss it, attributing my anxiety to the fatigue that clung to me like a heavy blanket. Just as I began to relax, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. I heard it, a soft, melodic voice calling my name. "Hey," it whispered, the sound so clear that I instinctively turned my head, expecting to see someone standing in the doorway. But there was no one there. My heart raced as I strained to listen, hoping to catch another glimpse of the source of the voice. "Hey," it called again, this time more insistent, sending chills down my spine. Confusion washed over me. Who could it be? I lived alone, and the voice was unmistakably feminine, almost soothing yet laced with an unsettling quality that made my skin crawl. I stood up, my heart pounding in my chest, and cautiously moved toward the source of the sound. The apartment felt eerily quiet, the only noise being the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant sounds of the city outside. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" My voice trembled, echoing in the silence, but there was no response. The air felt thick with tension, and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. As I turned back toward the living room, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye, a shadowy figure standing in the hallway. My breath caught in my throat as I froze, my heart racing uncontrollably. The figure was indistinct, a dark silhouette that seemed to blend into the shadows, yet I could feel its presence looming over me. Panic surged through me, and I instinctively took a step back, my mind racing with questions. Was it a trick of the light? My exhaustion playing tricks on me? Or was there truly something, or someone, there? The figure remained still, and I felt a wave of fear wash over me, paralyzing me in place. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body felt heavy, as if the very air around me had thickened. I blinked, hoping that when I opened my eyes, the figure would be gone, but it remained, an ominous presence that filled the space with dread. In that moment, I was engulfed by confusion and terror, my mind racing with thoughts of what could be lurking in the shadows of my own home. I took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage, and finally mustered the strength to turn on the lights, flooding the hallway with brightness. But as the light illuminated the space, the figure vanished, leaving me standing alone, heart pounding, grappling with the chilling realization that I was not alone in my own home. Living with my brother in our small apartment had always been a mix of camaraderie and chaos, but recently, it had taken a turn into the realm of the peculiar. It all began innocently enough, with a series of strange occurrences that seemed to defy explanation. One evening, as we settled down to watch a movie, I noticed a cup sitting on the kitchen counter suddenly topple over, spilling its contents across the floor. My brother and I exchanged bewildered glances, both of us momentarily stunned. There was no draft, no one nearby to bump into it. It simply fell as if an unseen force had nudged it. We laughed it off, attributing it to a simple accident, but deep down, a sense of unease began to creep in. As the days went by, the strange events continued to unfold. I would hear unexplained noises at odd hours, soft thuds and rustling sounds that seemed to come from the walls or the ceiling. At first, I thought it might be the old plumbing or perhaps the building settling, but the sounds grew more distinct and frequent. One night, while I was trying to fall asleep, I heard what sounded like footsteps pacing back and forth in the hallway outside our room. My heart raced as I lay in bed, straining to listen, hoping it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. I called out to my brother, seeking reassurance, but he was already fast asleep, oblivious to the unsettling atmosphere that had enveloped our home. The feeling of unease settled heavily on my chest, and I found myself glancing over my shoulder more often than not, as if expecting to see something lurking just out of sight. I tried to brush it off, convincing myself that it was all in my head, but the strange occurrences persisted. One evening, while washing dishes, I felt a cold breeze sweep through the kitchen, despite the windows being closed. I shivered involuntarily, and a sense of dread washed over me. I called my brother into the kitchen, hoping to share my discomfort, but he merely shrugged it off, attributing it to the old building's quirks. Then came the night that escalated my fear to a whole new level. I was sitting in the living room, engrossed in a book, when I heard a soft tapping sound at the window. At first, I thought it might be a branch brushing against the glass, but the tapping persisted, rhythmic and deliberate. My heart began to race as I set my book down, straining to see outside. The street lights cast long shadows, and the darkness beyond the window felt oppressive. I called out to my brother again, my voice trembling slightly, but he was still in the other room, unaware of the growing tension. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I stood up, my legs feeling heavy as I approached the window, peering into the night. My breath caught in my throat as I scanned the darkness, searching for the source of the sound. Nothing was there, just the empty street and the distant glow of streetlights. But the tapping continued, echoing in my mind, and I felt an overwhelming urge to pull the curtains shut, to block out whatever was trying to reach me from the outside. Finally, I turned to my brother, who had wandered into the room, and shared my fears. He looked at me with a mix of concern and skepticism, but I could see a flicker of unease in his eyes as well. We decided to investigate together, but as we approached the window, the tapping abruptly stopped, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The atmosphere in the apartment felt charged, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us, waiting just beyond the glass. The strange occurrences had transformed our once comfortable home into a place of uncertainty, and I found myself longing for reassurance, desperate to make sense of the inexplicable events that had begun to unravel our sense of safety. During a recent road trip, my brother and I found ourselves in need of a place to rest for the night. We stumbled upon a dilapidated hotel that looked as if it had seen better days, its peeling paint and flickering neon sign casting an eerie glow in the twilight. The atmosphere was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the distant sound of wind rustling through the trees. As we stepped inside, the musty smell of old carpet and stale air enveloped us, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we had entered a place long forgotten by time. The front desk clerk was a peculiar sight. He stood there, motionless, with a blank expression that sent chills down my spine. His movements were mechanical, almost robotic, as he checked us in without making eye contact. Room 204, he monotoned, handing over a tarnished key that felt heavy in my palm. I exchanged a glance with my brother, both of us feeling an unspoken sense of unease. There was something unsettling about the clerk's demeanor, as if he were merely a puppet performing a routine, devoid of any warmth or humanity. We took our key and made our way down the dimly lit hallway, the flickering lights casting long shadows that danced along the walls. As we entered our room, the door creaked ominously, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. The room was sparsely furnished, with a threadbare carpet and faded wallpaper that seemed to peel away in places. The air felt heavy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I tried to dismiss my apprehension, reminding myself that we were just tired from the long drive. We settled in, but the unsettling atmosphere lingered, making it difficult to relax. As night fell, the silence of the hotel deepened, and I found myself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The stillness was oppressive, and I couldn't help but notice how quiet it was, too quiet. There were no sounds of other guests, no laughter or chatter, just an eerie silence that seemed to stretch on endlessly. Suddenly, a sharp knocking echoed through the room, jolting me upright. My heart raced as I exchanged a glance with my brother, who looked equally startled. The knocking was rhythmic, almost deliberate, and it seemed to come from the door. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, my voice barely above a breath. He nodded, his eyes wide with fear. We both sat in silence, straining to listen, but the knocking stopped as abruptly as it had begun. I felt a wave of dread wash over me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I glanced at the clock. It was well past midnight, and the hotel felt like a ghost town. Just as I was about to convince myself it was nothing, the knocking resumed, louder this time, and I felt a chill run down my spine. My brother and I exchanged nervous glances, and I could see the fear mirrored in his eyes. "Should we check it out?" he asked, his voice trembling. I hesitated, my instincts screaming at me to stay put, but curiosity got the better of us. We approached the door cautiously, and as I reached for the handle, I felt a sudden rush of cold air sweep through the room. I opened the door slowly, peering into the dimly lit hallway. To my horror, there was no one there. The corridor stretched out before us, empty and silent, but as I turned back to the room, my heart dropped. In the corner, partially obscured by shadows, stood a tall humanoid figure. Its features were indistinct, but I could feel its gaze piercing through the darkness, locking onto me with an intensity that made my blood run cold. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled backward, my breath quickening. The figure remained motionless, an ominous presence that filled the room with dread. I grabbed my brother's arm, and we both backed away, our hearts racing in unison. The hotel, once a mere stop on our journey, had transformed into a nightmare, and I knew in that moment that we needed to escape. The unsettling experience would haunt me long after we left, a chilling reminder of the unknown lurking just beyond the threshold of our reality. As a child, my small bedroom was my sanctuary, a cozy space filled with the comforting clutter of toys, books, and the remnants of my imagination. The walls were painted a soft blue, adorned with posters of my favorite superheroes and a few drawings I had proudly displayed. My bed, covered in a colorful quilt, was positioned against the far wall, while a small nightstand held my cherished collection of bedtime stories. It was a place where I felt safe, a haven where I could escape into the worlds of adventure and fantasy. However, there was one aspect of my room that always filled me with an unsettling sense of dread: the vent. The vent was an unassuming metal grate located high on the wall, its presence often overlooked amidst the vibrant decor. But on certain nights, when the house was quiet and the world outside was shrouded in darkness, it became a source of inexplicable fear. I would lie in bed, the shadows dancing across the walls, and listen to the sounds of the house settling. It was during these moments of stillness that I first heard it, the strange laughter echoing through the vent. It was a high-pitched, almost childlike giggle that sent chills down my spine. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, a trick of the mind conjured by the shadows that surrounded me. But as the laughter persisted, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The laughter would come and go, sometimes fading into the background noise of the house, but other times it would grow louder, more insistent, as if someone, or something, was trying to get my attention. I would pull the covers up to my chin, my heart racing, and try to convince myself that it was just the wind or perhaps the creaking of the old house. But deep down, I knew that there was something more sinister lurking in the darkness. The laughter felt alive, a haunting melody that echoed through the vents, wrapping around me like a cold embrace. One fateful night, as I lay in bed, the laughter returned, more pronounced than ever. I could feel my pulse quickening as I strained to listen, my breath hitching in my throat. It was then that I noticed something unusual. The laughter seemed to be accompanied by a soft rustling sound, as if something was moving within the vent. My curiosity piqued. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and tiptoed toward the vent, my heart pounding in my chest. I stood on my tiptoes, peering into the dark opening, and that's when I saw them, eyes. Two glowing orbs stared back at me from the depths of the vent, their gaze unblinking and filled with an unsettling intensity. They were unlike anything I had ever seen, reflecting the faint light from my bedside lamp in a way that made them appear almost otherworldly. I froze, my breath caught in my throat as a wave of terror washed over me. The laughter grew louder, echoing in my ears, and I stumbled back, my heart racing as I scrambled to retreat to the safety of my bed. I pulled the covers over my head, my mind racing with questions and fears. What were those eyes? What was making that laughter? The experience left an indelible mark on my childhood. For weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and the laughter haunted my dreams, twisting into nightmarish scenarios that left me waking in a cold sweat. I became hyper-aware of the sounds in my house, listening for the laughter that had once seemed so innocent. The vent, once a mere part of my room, transformed into a portal of fear, a reminder that the unknown could lurk just beyond the surface of my reality. Even as I grew older and the laughter faded into memory, the image of those eyes remained etched in my mind, a chilling reminder of the mysteries that lay hidden in the shadows of my childhood. In today's video, we explored a collection of eerie experiences that have left many of us questioning the boundaries of reality and the nature of fear. From unsettling encounters in dimly lit basements to the chilling laughter echoing through vents, each story shared a common thread: the inexplicable moments that can turn our everyday lives into something hauntingly mysterious. We recounted tales of shadowy figures lurking in corners, strange noises that disrupt our peace, and the unsettling feeling of being watched when we least expect it. These experiences remind us that the unknown can often be lurking just beneath the surface of our daily routines, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Throughout the video, we emphasized the universal theme of fear and how it intertwines with our everyday lives. Whether it's the fear of the dark, the anxiety of being alone, or the unsettling feeling that something is amiss, these emotions are relatable to us all. Each story serves as a reminder that fear is not just a figment of our imagination, it's a powerful force that can manifest in the most ordinary of circumstances. The unknown can be both thrilling and terrifying, and it's this duality that keeps us captivated by the mysteries that surround us. As we wrap up this exploration of eerie experiences, we want to encourage you, our viewers, to engage with us. Have you ever encountered something that left you feeling uneasy or questioning what you thought you knew? We invite you to share your own stories in the comments below. Your experiences could resonate with others who have faced similar situations, creating a community of shared fears and fascinating tales. If you enjoyed the video and found the stories as captivating as we did, please consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on our latest content, where we continue to delve into the mysteries of the unknown and explore the eerie aspects of life that often go unnoticed. Don't forget to hit the like button if you appreciated the video. Your support helps us reach more viewers who might be intrigued by these unsettling tales. We also encourage you to share this video with friends and family who might enjoy a good scare or have their own eerie experiences to recount. The more we share, the more we can connect with others who understand the thrill of fear and the allure of the unknown. Together, we can create a space where we can discuss these experiences openly and perhaps even find comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the eerie and the unexplained. We hope you found the stories as intriguing as we did, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Remember, the unknown is always just around the corner, waiting to be discovered. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep your eyes open for the mysteries that life has to offer.